Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So we are going into autumn now. As you can see, the trees are starting to change colors. So I'm on the bus and then I'm gonna take the SkyTrain to Main Street, Vancouver. It's a bright sunny morning. So we're actually having a lot of cloudy and rainy days these days in Vancouver, and it's rare to have sunshine. So I'm fully taking advantage of the day by going out and sketch. As you can see, some trees are turning pretty much all red. So here I am. Just got off at Main Street Science World Station. And I'm gonna walk for about 10 minutes to a cafe by the river. Crossing the street, here I am at Science World. Everything looks so lovely under the sun. And yeah, I'm by the Falls Creek now. So Falls Creek is an inlet that connects to the ocean. And lots of autumn vibes here on this walkway. The cafe is right on the bottom corner of the building there. So this is the little Olympic Village in Vancouver. The bakery cafe is called Terra Breads, and they have a lot of these very nice bakery items, pastries. So I'm super thankful to the barista who made me this very unique and rare bear latte art. And of course I'm gonna sketch it and my little peach tart. So I'm gonna use my Sailor's Fude fountain pen with a 55-degree bent nib. I started drawing the ellipse of the opening of the cup, the body, and the round handle, the inner outline of the handle, and the brim, the little saucer on the bottom, and the little spoon for stirring the brim of the saucer using more gentle and thin lines. The liquid line of the matcha latte, and then having fun getting the little swirls of the teddy bear in. Yeah, so when I'm doing the latte art, I'm using the back of my fountain pen to create these very thin lines, as well as the shine on the saucer. Now I'm gonna draw the peach tart, starting with a circular outline and with this braided kind of pattern on the outline, the fork beside it. Now I'm ready to suggest the braid of the brim of the pie even better, using these folding curves, and then these wedges of peaches laying in all directions. We can see about 2 sides of these peach wedges. And I'm drawing this square plate. So squares, they look like trapezoids when they're laying down on the table in front of you. Okay, now I'm ready to paint with my Mungyo brand watercolor palette containing 24 colors. And I'm going to paint with my Holbein brand water brushes and a towel to clean my brush tips. Okay, now I'm going to start with the latte first. Grabbing some warm yellow-green by mixing yellow ochre with lime green. And every brush mark is a different definition of yellow-green. Grabbing some Viridian green, mix it with a little bit yellow ochre and burnt sienna for some medium dark shades. For the next layer, wet into wet. And the yellow-green is still subtly shining through the second layer. And painting the small gaps in between the swirls and the eyes of the bear as well. Putting on this yellow ochre and orange for the first layer of the pastry. Using a slightly diluted version. Some more orange yellow for the peach wedges. Less watery, and some orange brown for the brim of the tart. And adding some little subtle bits of brown tones inside the tart, the creamy area, and most of the darker brown tones are on the brim. The brim received the most heat, adding some shadows around the peach wedges, using brown as well. And it's time to shade these white surfaces with light gray. So I mix my own gray with cobalt blue and permanent violet. Slightly darker tone for the next layer, partially. Adding some retouches of green for the bear latte art. Keep shading the spoon and the left side of the cup. The windows are on the right, so the left side is more shaded. And I'm going to shade the square plate as well. So nothing in the world that has a white color is perfect paper white unless that thing is perfectly glaring in the light. Most of it is shaded with light gray to medium grays. Adding some shadows for everything solid. Yeah, so here's a look of my finished sketches. It took me about 10 to 15 minutes to do before the drink gets cold. Now I'm going to sketch the two gentlemen sitting in front of me discussing their business, and then the view outside the windows. So I'm going to sketch the man pretty close to me in the very foreground, starting with the outline of his hat, the ear and the other ear, and then drawing the shape of the back of his hair and the neck. Now he's actually gone for a little bit, maybe to the bathroom, so I'm going to sketch his friend first while waiting for him to come back. So I just drew the shape of the cranium of the other man's head, the two ears, and a bit of hair on both sides of the cranium, the other ear, and attaching the eyeglasses to the top of his ears. A little pointy nose, the mustache, the lip, eyebrows, and the eyes gently looking away, the beard, and adding these two layers of collars. He has a shirt inside and a jacket outside. Yeah, so collars are really fun to draw. In between is the neck area, the zipper and the zipping line, shoulders, and the upper arm going down, and the logo of his jacket, armpit. Accentuate a little bit of the head here and there. And that's pretty much it, his lovely portrait. So I've asked the man's permission to sketch them, so I'm pretty comfortable to do this drawing process. Yeah, so the man in the hat actually came over to see my sketches of the bear latte and my pastry, and I showed him some pages of my sketchbook, and and I just drawing this man's hand holding his piece of bread or pizza. It's kind of fun because it seems like he's kind of like stealing a little piece from my pastry, but actually he did not. He was eating his own food. So I'm still waiting for the man in the hat to come back. While waiting, I'm going to sketch the big trees outside the window, starting with a little trunk area and some visible branches shown in between the leaves. Now, I'm going to try mixed media because this paper of sketchbook I'm using right now is very suitable for mixed media. So I'm using a brown oil-based pencil to draw the contour outline of this likely a maple tree's canopy. Because this oil-based pencil is very smooth to glide on paper. And using squiggly lines as usual, the same way that I do with my pen for the leafy texture. Now the man just came back. Now I'm going to continue drawing his collar, one shoulder, and the other shoulder coming down this way, yep. And suggesting his Adam's apple there, right in the middle of the neck. A little bit of wrinkles and bony texture for the face of the man. Adding this stitching line in the middle of his hat. And a little bit of loose hair strands. Bit of beard. Now I'm actually drawing the stripes on this man's hat in crisscrossing little stripes. Yeah, so it's a type of plaid pattern for the hat, suggesting more texture for the hair, a bit of the beard. I can barely see his face, so yeah, I'm going to suggest a little bit. And the wrinkles around his armpit. Okay, so now I'm grabbing my brown oil-based pencil again to finish the contour outline of the maple trees outside. Yeah, it's gliding very smoothly and I'm able to speed up drawing all these details outside. And grabbing my sailor's fountain pen to get some more clear twigs and branches in the middle of the canopy. There's a little shrub here on the left. So now I'm going to show you. I do have two oil-based pencils. One is black, the other one is brown. Both are from Faber-Castel brand. I'm going to use the black oil-based pencil to do the contour outline of the mountains in the very back, under the sky. It has a very clean and clear, solid outline on a sunny day. And then switching back to the brown pencil to get more little trees and shrubs drawn. So my drawing speed is just 2 times faster than my actual drawing speed. Yeah, and just fitting in another little shrub. This is like a long shrub, connecting the two men together even better. And yeah, the edge of the shrub. So I really want to create this dreamlike faded out background area. And I just drew the corner of the flower bed, which is kind of like a little cube. So I'm worried that these men are going to leave any time. So I want to paint them first. Skin color is orange, brown, and a little bit of permanent red, very diluted. Stronger red-brown for certain areas on the face, like the cheeks, and maybe the forehead and the lips. Yeah, so the windows are on the right. The left side of these faces are shaded. Same for the hand. Yeah, the left side of this man's face, I wanted to have a heavier tone of brown. And same for the neck, dark brown because it's mostly shaded. Yeah, some of the skin color is going through to the white hair area. And yeah, skin color is pretty fun to do as usual. Now it's time to paint the sweater of the man. It kind of echoes with my matcha latte. Very similar color. Yellow ochre was viridian green, diluted. And then viridian green mixed with burnt sienna for the shading part. And I'm using leftover blue, cobalt blue, to paint this other man's jacket. And then using less watery blue violet to shade the left side. Again, the windows are on the right. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now I'm coming back to my brown oil-based pencil to draw this food truck. And there's some more foliage. Now for this middle ground lady walking her dog, I want to use my Sailor's Fude fountain pen because I need a solid human figure, something in the middle ground to balance out the weight on the left. It's a little too heavy on the left. I need a bit more weighted items on the right. And then using my brown pencil again to get these organic lines done for the bushes. Very minimal details for the food truck. And a couple walking into the far distance. So as you can see, it's pretty fun to work with a brown pencil to easily create a sense of distance and three-dimensionality. And some more trees very far away, probably on the other side of the water. Cranes and buildings, yeah, on the other side of the water, close to the SkyTrain station in these abstract shapes, mostly rectangles. Another little bush I want to fit in there. The trunks of some other trees. Horizontal lines to divide the water body and some urban structures. In, yeah, pretty abstract shapes. You don't have to be very clear to illustrate. Yeah, so I feel like when I'm sketching with pencils, I can speed up because I don't worry about making a mess. These lines are much lighter than my dark sepia ink lines and my old black fine liner pens. So even if you're making a mistake, you can scribble a little bit to hide it. Another apartment building over here coming in. That's very much it for the line work part. It's very relaxing. Here's a look of my finished line work of the urban landscape behind the man. Now they've moved to a different table, but that table I think is bigger for them to work on. And yeah, time to add more life or colors to the landscape. Yeah, so I'm going to start wetting the area of the sky with clear water. And I'm going to grab some cerulean blue with a little bit of cobalt blue mixed in for the higher part of the sky. And always using horizontal brush marks to keep the sky area pretty organized. Leaving some white gaps in between for the bit of white clouds floating in the sky. And a higher intensity of blue for the higher part of the sky, yeah, as usual. And the speed of this painting process is just 2 times faster than my actual drawing or actual painting speed. And I'm going to illuminate everything under the sun with this mellow yellow, which is diluted yellow ochre. So yeah, as I mentioned before in my other YouTube videos, on a bright sunny day, everything is receiving a yellow stain from the sunlight. And we could easily establish a sense of unity when we do this underpainting part for everything under the sky using this yellow. Slightly more strong yellow ochre for the maple trees here. And yeah, the next layers for these trees will be a very strong yellow orange. Very soft, almost just water for the mountain part. Because mountains in the far distance, they look very bluish. So that's it for the underpainting part. Now I'm ready to paint the next layer for these trees, having a much more solid color of orange brown. So I just mix burnt sienna with yellow ochre and a little bit of orange, grabbing some leftover green for the bottom 40% of the tree's canopy because it's not completely yellow yet. It's a beautiful blend of many color definitions. And yeah, the higher part, the leaves are more vibrant yellow-orange. And grabbing some pure orange, and you just use these little drops of brush marks for some parts of the tree's canopy. Yeah, so the tree, it looks a bit more dynamic with some traces of little dotting brush marks. Some more brown on the bottom to get an illusion of shade. And that's very much it for this lovely tree. Now moving on to another one in the distance, starting with this golden yellow-green, and then shade the bottom half with some little choppy brush marks of leftover green in my palette, mostly Viridian green. So when the trees are changing colors in autumn, I think the top are starting to change colors first. The bottom half is still green. Very cool transition stage. And yeah, just playing with lime green, Viridian green, yellow ochre, and orange. 4 colors. And by mixing these 4 colors at different ratios in combination with each other, we're able to have many color definitions coming out. These warm yellow greens. So I usually start painting the brighter tones of yellow greens first instead of the shade greens. And my next step is to shade by using burnt sienna to mix into Viridian green. Yeah, again, every brush mark is a slightly different color definition. Just the bottom 40% for these shrubs. So yeah, just shading the bottom 40%. And these shrubs in the middle of my sketch is actually pretty nice, tying all the little elements together. Adding a bit of golden color and green for the trees in the far distance. Just suggesting them in a few little vague brush marks. Now I want to paint the mountains. They look pretty blue, cobalt blue mixed with a little bit of cerulean blue, playing with a bit of value transition. Yeah, it's a little bit of mysteriously foggy on the mountain peaks. Mixing a tiny bit of leftover Viridian green for a bit of color transition. And my brush marks are following the rhythm of how I feel the mountain's ridges are folding. Now, for the very far distant mountain peaks, I'm using just pure cobalt blue, pretty diluted to start with. And then I'm going to do a bit of value transition by using pure cobalt blue containing less water, wet into wet. And yeah, just giving myself a lot of freedom to apply these brush marks on this paper. As you can see, this paper is for mixed media, but watercolor works in a pretty interesting and in a vibrant way on this paper. And that's why I like this paper, even if it's not watercolor paper. So if you're painting on this paper, make sure you don't go back and repaint those areas, especially when those parts are still wet and you're trying to rework it. You might cause some flooding of colors and washing some parts out, showing white paper. So it's very tricky to work with this paper using watercolors. It's not suitable for beginners. But if you have some experience and if you're curious about this paper, you could try it out. Now adding a bit of shade tone for under the curb. Now I'm coming back to the middle ground area to add some retouches for these trees. And adding some small patches of greens to suggest foliage in the very far distance, like here on the left and right of that little tree, in these small gaps, to suggest a sense of space, that there are more foliage in the distance, many layers away. Grabbing some more yellow ochre and green mix for the top part of these trees canopies, and then shade it wet into wet. So it's much easier to paint on a bright sunny day when you can see high contrast on everything under the sun. It's pretty hard to sketch on an overcast or a rainy day where everything is flat. But yeah, sunny days are always illuminating and inspiring. Shading these trees a little bit more. And now there's a lady coming over to see my work, and she's giving me some compliments. Very nice. And she's telling her little grandson that he's able to do it as well. So now I'm pretty close to the end of my painting stage, and just adding these little patches of bluish grays and greens in between the structures. A bit of green for the lawn, yeah, in the middle ground. Some leftover blue to shade these apartment buildings just on their left. The right is shining bright, facing the sun. So in the sketching world, you don't have to overthink. Just keep these things far away. Pretty simple. Yeah, draw them simply and paint them simply. Do not overthink. Just get over these little small parts quickly. Without getting caught up into getting their details in. They don't have to be very detailed in the far distance. Okay, so now I think I want to paint the shadows for these humans and that dog. I actually painted the shadow in the wrong direction. It should be on the left. The sun is on the right. But it's okay. Just embrace everything that happens in your creative process. No worries at all. Grabbing some leftover brown to paint these tree trunks and branches, nice and gentle. And now moving on to the final polishing stage, just adding these bit of grays using these leftover colors in my palette, or mix some more blue violet kind of gray to paint this black food truck. So I'm glad I didn't outline it with my Sailor's fountain pen, because I don't want this truck to stand out way too much. It's a little bit tricky to get this truck in, but it's there anyway. The red rear lights. Okay. Some more little bits of gray shadows for these edges. So I don't remember the shirt of this girl, so I'm going to just paint it red anyway, so she stands out better. Shaded with a bit of red purple on her left. Now I want to paint this man's hat. He's still there. It's kind of like a brownish green. A stronger tone of brown green on the left. And these stripes are of an even darker tone of greenish brown. So here's the look of my finished sketch. And the man, they're still hard at work there in the distance. And moving on, I'm gonna grab coffee from this Urban Fare supermarket. And yeah, I love these seasonal little pumpkins. And I can't believe it is pumpkin season again. The days are spinning by, day after day, very fast. Okay, so now I think I'm gonna grab my favorite coffee beans, Parallel 49, very good coffee beans. So as I walked out from the supermarket, look at the sky, it's overcast again. So I'm gonna grab lunch from a nearby pho restaurant, pho rice noodles, and rainstorm is actually on the way for tomorrow. It's time to go home. So I will see you around in the next video very soon, everyone. Have a great day.